Welcome to The Deep Dive. We're the show that aims to get straight to the heart of things. And today, we are diving deep into James Clear's Atomic Habits. It's a really influential book. But before we unpack the methods, I want to touch on his backstory, specifically an incident that frankly surprised me when I read about it. It kind of sets the whole stage.
Oh, it really does. It's quite an origin story. So final day of his sophomore year in high school, James Clear gets hit directly in the face with a baseball bat.
A baseball bat? How did that even happen?
Slipped right out of a teammate's hands during a swing, struck him square between the eyes. The force, it crushed his nose into this kind of distorted U shape. Awful.
Wow. I mean, he doesn't remember the actual impact, right?
No memory of it. But the collision slammed his brain tissue into his skull.
The injuries sound horrific. Broken nose, multiple skull fractures.
2 shattered eye sockets. He lost consciousness immediately, had these repeated post-traumatic seizures. They had to put him in a medically induced coma. It's hard to imagine coming back from something like that, isn't it?
Completely. Just surviving seems like a miracle, let alone recovering.
Absolutely. And when he did regain consciousness, he'd lost his sense of smell. Yeah. Plus, trying to blow his nose actually forced air through the fractures near his eye socket.
Oh, no.
Yeah, pushed his left eye outward. He had double vision for weeks. Took him 8 months before he could even drive again.
And for a kid passionate about baseball, dreaming of going pro.
Devastating.
Yeah.
He got cut from the varsity team, ended up on junior varsity, barely played any varsity innings his whole high school career.
It's just so striking, though, how that terrible event somehow became the foundation for his ideas about habits. So, okay, our mission today, let's really explore these mechanics of behavior change he talks about, how you can use these small, consistent actions to, change your path in life, health, work, anything really.
Exactly. And that journey, from this catastrophe to actually becoming a college athlete again, that's really where his focus on habits began.
Yeah.
When he got to Denison University after the injury, obviously playing baseball wasn't happening right away, so he just focused on, in his words, getting his life in order.
Right. But what does that actually mean? After something so huge, what did getting life in order look like day to day?
Well, it wasn't about massive leaps. While other students were, staying up late playing video games, he focused on what he calls minor improvements. Really small things.
Like what?
Like building good sleep habits, going to bed early every night, making sure his room was neat, tidy. These weren't, earth-shattering changes. But they were small, consistent actions. And they gave him a sense of control back. Confidence.
And that started to spill over into other areas.
It did, yeah. It rippled into his studies. He got straight A's his first year. Then he started lifting weights consistently, something he hadn't really done before. Bulked up from about 170 to 200 pounds.
So the physical recovery started mirroring the academic discipline.
Pretty much. By his sophomore year, he'd earned a starting spot on the baseball team. Junior year, team captain. And by senior year, he was picked for the all-conference team. It wasn't one big decision. It was that daily compounding discipline.
And it's not just personal anecdotes, right? He brings in these really compelling examples like the British cycling story. Before Dave Brailsford came along in 2003, British cycling was, not great. Mediocre for almost a century.
Definitely not great. Brailsford was different. He came in as performance director with this philosophy he called the aggregation of marginal gains.
Marginal gains, meaning?
The core idea was seeking a tiny, just 1% improvement in absolutely everything they did.
And he meant everything, not just like better bikes or training techniques.
Oh, way beyond that.
Yeah.
I mean, they did the obvious stuff first. Redesigned bike seats for more comfort, rubbed alcohol on the tires for better grip, had riders wear electrically heated overshorts to keep muscle temps right.
Okay, that's already pretty detailed.
But then they went further. Hired a surgeon to teach the riders the optimal way to wash their hands to avoid getting colds. They figured out the perfect pillow and mattress for each individual rider to get the best possible sleep. They even painted the inside of the team truck white.
White? Why white?
To spot tiny bits of dust easier. Dust that could potentially degrade the performance of the finely tuned bikes.
That does sound obsessive, but you can't argue with the results, can you?
Not at all.
Yeah.
The results were astonishing. Just 5 years after Brailsford took over, Beijing Olympics in 2008, British cycling won 60% of the available gold medals in cycling events. Just dominated.
60%?
Yeah. Then 4 years later, London Olympics, they set 9 Olympic records, 7 world records. Bradley Wiggins became the first Brit to win the Tour de France. Then his teammate Chris Froome won it 4 more times in the next few years.
So over that decade.
Between 2007 and 2017. British cyclists won 178 world championships, 66 Olympic or Paralympic golds, 5 Tour de France titles, all stemming from hundreds of these tiny aggregated 1% improvements.
It makes sense when you see results like that, but that phrase, 1% better, it sounds so small, almost insignificant day to day. How does that tiny improvement compound so dramatically?
Well, Clear breaks down the math. If you improve by just 1% each day for a year, you don't just end up 365% better. Because of the compounding, you actually end up 37 times better than when you started.
37 times? Wow.
Conversely, if you get 1% worse each day for a year, you decline almost down to 0. It's like compound interest for yourself.
That really puts it in perspective.
He uses a great analogy. Imagine an airplane flying from Los Angeles to New York. If the pilot adjusts the heading just 3.5 degrees south, leaving LAX a tiny change, you wouldn't even notice. You won't land in New York, you'll end up in Washington, D.C., hundreds of miles off course.
So that small early adjustment leads to a massive difference over the long haul. And that explains why we often dismiss these small changes, doesn't it? They don't feel significant at the start. This leads to what he calls the plateau of latent potential, or the valley of disappointment.
Right. You expect progress to be linear, like a straight line upwards. But with habits, often it feels like nothing is happening for a while. Then suddenly you hit a breakthrough, but you had to persist through that plateau where the results weren't visible yet.
Why is that? Why don't we see the progress earlier?
Because many processes require reaching a critical threshold before change becomes apparent. Think about an ice cube in a cold room. You can raise the temperature from, say, 25 degrees to 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31.
Still just an ice cube.
Right. Nothing looks different. But then you hit 32 degrees Fahrenheit and suddenly it starts to melt. That 1 degree shift, which seemed just like the others before it, unlocked this huge transformation.
That's a great visual. It's like the potential was building up unseen.
Exactly. Clear mentions other examples too, like how cancer can spend 80% of its life undetectable before suddenly taking over. Or bamboo. It barely grows above ground for 5 years, just building massive root systems unseen. Then it explodes, like 90 feet into the air in just 6 weeks.
So the work you're putting in during that plateau phase, it isn't wasted.
Not at all. It's being stored. It's building potential. Breakthrough moments are almost always the result of lots of previous actions accumulating. Mastery requires patience.
Okay, this persistence makes sense, but then Clear makes this really critical distinction that I think challenges how a lot of us approach things. He says, forget goals, focus on systems instead.
Yes, this is a huge idea in the book. He credits cartoonist Scott Adams with this framing. Goals are about the results you want to achieve, right? Like lose 20 pounds or write a novel. Systems are about the processes that lead to those results, like exercise 3 times a week or write 500 words every day.
That feels a bit counterintuitive, though. Aren't goals what motivate us? What's wrong with being goal-oriented?
Well, Clear argues there are several problems with focusing only on goals. First, winners and losers often have the exact same goals. Think about the Olympics. Every single athlete wants that gold medal. The goal itself doesn't separate the winner from everyone else.
Ah, right. So it must be something else that makes the difference. The system.
Exactly. It's the system of daily practice, training, and refinement that sets the winners apart. Second problem. Achieving a goal is often just a momentary change.
What do you mean?
Like, you can achieve the goal of cleaning your messy room. But if you don't change the underlying habits, the system that led to the mess,
It'll just get messy again.
right, you end up chasing the same outcome over and over because you haven't fixed the system.
That sounds like the yo-yo effect with dieting. People hit their goal weight, stop the diet system, and the weight comes back.
Precisely. Third, relying only on goals can actually restrict your happiness.
How?
Because there's this implicit idea, I'll finally be happy when I reach my goal. It constantly pushes happiness off into the future. But if you adopt a systems-first mindset, you can find satisfaction anytime your system is running. You learn to love the process itself.
So you enjoy the journey, not just waiting for the destination.
Exactly. And finally, goals can sometimes be at odds with long-term progress.
In what way?
Think about someone training for a marathon. They work incredibly hard, focused on that finish line. But what happens after they cross it? Often, the motivation disappears and they stop training altogether. The goal is gone.
So the system collapses once the goal is achieved.
Right. Clear says the purpose of setting goals is to win the game. But the purpose of building systems is to continue playing the game. For long-term progress, you need sustainable systems, not just temporary goals.
That makes a lot of sense. So if you're struggling to change, maybe the issue isn't you, it's your system.
Yeah, that's his point. You don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems.
Okay, so we need good systems. But Clear digs even deeper than that, doesn't he? He talks about 3 layers of behavior change.
Yes, this is really core to his philosophy. The 3 layers are outcomes, processes, and the deepest layer, identity. Outcomes are what you get the results, like losing weight or publishing a book. Processes are what you do, the systems, the habits, like going to the gym or writing daily. And identity. What's about what you believe, about who you are?
Identity. That feels like a much more fundamental level of change.
It is. And he argues that the most powerful and lasting change comes from focusing on your identity, on who you wish to become.
How does that work in practice?
He uses the example of 2 people trying to quit smoking. Someone offers them a cigarette. The first person says, "No thanks, I'm trying to quit."
Okay. Still identifies as a smoker, just one who's resisting.
Exactly. The second person says, "No thanks, I'm not a smoker."
Ah, that's different. That's a statement of identity. They no longer are that thing.
Precisely. It signals a fundamental shift in how they see themselves.
I remember the story he told about Brian Clark, the entrepreneur who used to bite his nails constantly.
Oh, yeah, that's a great one. He stopped biting them through sheer willpower, which is hard enough.
Yeah.
But then he did something interesting. He got a professional manicure.
A manicure. Why?
Because for the first time, it made his nails look genuinely nice. And that sparked a sense of pride. He started taking pride in caring for his nails properly. He hasn't chewed them since.
So it wasn't just about stopping a bad habit. It was about becoming someone who takes pride in well-kept nails. The identity shifted.
Exactly. That's the ultimate form of intrinsic motivation. True behavior change is identity change. The goal isn't just to read a book. It's to become a reader. Not just run a marathon. Become a runner. Your behaviors ultimately reflect your identity.
And he has that really powerful metaphor, right? That every action you take is a vote for the type of person you wish to become.
Yes. No single action, no single vote instantly changes your beliefs about yourself. But as those votes accumulate, day after day, the evidence builds up, solidifying that new identity.
So it's a gradual reinforcement process. How do you consciously start that?
He proposes a simple 2-step process. First, decide the type of person you want to be. Second, prove it to yourself with small wins, tiny actions that cast votes for that identity.
Like his friend who lost over 100 pounds.
Right. Her guiding question was simply, what would a healthy person do? She used that question for everything, ordering food, deciding whether to take the stairs. It shifted her focus from just the outcome, losing weight, to embodying the identity, being a healthy person.
So you decide who you want to be, maybe a consistent writer, a parent, whatever, and then you start taking tiny actions that align with that identity.
Exactly. Those small wins prove to yourself, yes, I am this type of person.
Okay, this identity-based approach makes a lot of sense. Now, how do we actually engineer the specific habits that build this identity? He introduces that 4-step loop, right?
Yes, the habit loop. Cue, craving, response, reward. It's the basic feedback mechanism that drives all our habitual behaviors. The cue triggers the brain, the craving provides the motivation, the response is the actual habit, and the reward satisfies the craving and teaches the brain, hey, this worked, let's do it again.
Our brains automate this to save energy.
Exactly. So, to build good habits and break bad ones, we need to manipulate these 4 steps.
Which brings us to his 4 laws of behavior change. This is the really practical stuff.
It is. This is the framework for engineering your habits. Let's start with Law 1. Make it obvious. Or, for bad habits, make it invisible.
Okay, obviousness. He says behavior change starts with awareness, but habits are often unconscious. How do you become aware of something you don't even realize you're doing?
Good question. He suggests starting with a habit scorecard. Basically, list out your daily habits, waking up, checking your phone, brushing your teeth, coffee, commute, etc. Then mark each one with a plus sign, plus, minus sign, or equal sign, based on whether it's a good habit, a bad habit, or neutral. Just the act of listing them brings awareness.
Okay, that makes sense. Just seeing it written down.
He also mentions a technique called pointing and calling. It's used in places like the Japanese railway system for safety. You literally point at something and say your action and its outcome aloud. Like, I am about to eat this cookie, and eating it will cause me to gain weight and feel sluggish.
Saying it out loud makes it conscious.
Right. It forces you to acknowledge the habit and its immediate consequence.
And then there's environment design. This seems huge in the book. The examples are fascinating. That cafeteria study.
Dr. Thorndike's study, yeah. They just put more water bottles near the food stations and in the main refrigerators. Didn't say a word to anyone. Water sales jumped over 25%. Soda sales dropped by 11%, just by making water the obvious, easy choice.
Or the fly sticker in the urinals at Schiphol Airport.
Yes. Reduced cleaning costs by 8%, just by giving men something to aim for. A tiny visual cue changed behavior significantly.
So the takeaway is, make the cues for your good habits really obvious in your environment.
Exactly. Put your running shoes by the door, place your vitamins next to the coffee maker, leave your guitar out in the living room, not hidden in a closet.
And for bad habits, make those cues invisible.
Right. If you snap too much watching TV, maybe move the TV out of the kitchen or living room. If you waste time on your phone, delete the distracting apps or leave your phone in another room.
He even mentions that Vietnam War study about heroin addiction.
Yeah, that was striking. Nearly 20% of U.S. soldiers in Vietnam were addicted to heroin. But when they came home, 9 out of 10 spontaneously kicked the habit.
Because the environment changed.
The environment and all its associated cues were gone. Shows how powerful context is.
Okay, so making cues obvious or invisible. What about initiating new habits? He talks about implementation intentions.
Right. This is about being super specific about when and where you'll perform a new habit. The formula is simple. I will behavior at time in location.
So instead of vaguely saying, I'll exercise more, you'd say,
I will go for a 30-minute walk at 7 a.m. around my neighborhood. That specificity makes a huge difference. He cites a British study on exercise. The group that wrote down this specific plan had a 91% follow-through rate.
91%.
Compared to only 35 to 38% in the groups that didn't specify time and location. Planning when and where drastically increases your odds.
And then there's habit stacking. How does that fit in?
Habit stacking links your desired new habit to one you already do consistently. It uses an existing behavior as the cue for the new one. It leverages the Diderot effect. You know how buying one new thing often leads to a cascade of other related purchases or actions.
So you chain habits together.
Exactly. The formula is, after current habit, I will new habit.
Like after I finish my morning coffee, I will meditate for 1 minute.
Perfect example. Or, when I take off my work shoes, I will immediately change into my workout clothes. You piggyback the new habit onto an established routine.
Okay, law 1, make it obvious. Got it. What's next?
Law 2, make it attractive. Or, for bad habits, make it unattractive. This taps into the craving part of the loop.
Attractive. How do we make habits we should do but maybe don't want to do more appealing?
A key technique here is temptation bundling. This pairs an action you want to do with an action you need to do.
So you link something enjoyable with something less enjoyable.
Precisely. For example, maybe you only allow yourself to watch your favorite Netflix show while you're on the treadmill. Or you only listen to your favorite podcast while you're doing chores around the house.
I actually do that with laundry and a true crime podcast. It works surprisingly well.
It does, because you start associating the less desirable task, laundry, with the anticipated pleasure of the podcast. Your brain links them.
What else makes habits attractive? He talks about social influence.
Yes, hugely important. We're social creatures. We want to fit in. We tend to imitate the habits of 3 main groups. The close, our family and friends. Their habits normalize behaviors for us, the many. Our tribe, our culture. We adopt behaviors that are seen as normal within our group. And the powerful, those we admire or see as having high status. We often copy their behaviors.
Like the Polgar sisters, the chess champions.
Exactly. They grew up in a family culture totally immersed in chess. Chess wasn't just encouraged, it was the norm, it was celebrated. Their environment made obsessive practice seem attractive and normal.
So the takeaway is to surround yourself with people whose habits you want to emulate.
Pretty much. Join a culture where your desired behavior is the normal behavior. Find a running group, a book club, a writing community. It makes the habit much more attractive.
And then there's reframing, changing how you think about a habit.
Right. Just shifting your language can make a difference. Instead of saying, I have to go to work, try, I get to go to work.
From obligation to opportunity.
Exactly. Or, I have to exercise becomes, I get to build strength and endurance. It reframes the task in terms of its benefits, making it feel less like a chore and more like an opportunity. Remember the man in the wheelchair who reframed it as liberation?
Yeah, that perspective shift is powerful.
Oh.
Okay, law 2, make it attractive. Next.
Law 3, make it easy. Or, conversely, make it difficult. This relates to the response part of the habit loop, the actual doing of the habit.
Easy. This feels counterintuitive too. Don't we need discipline and willpower to force ourselves to do hard things?
We often think that, but Clear argues we're fundamentally wired to follow the path of least resistance. We naturally gravitate towards actions that require the least effort.
That definitely explains my phone scrolling habit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So instead of trying to muscle through difficult habits with sheer willpower, we should focus on making good habits as easy and frictionless as possible.
He uses that photography class example, right? Motion versus action.
Yes, University of Florida. One group of students was graded purely on the quantity of photos they submitted. The other group was graded on the quality of a single perfect photo.
And the quantity group produced the best photos.
By far. Because they were constantly shooting, experimenting, learning by doing. That's action. The quality group spent most of their time speculating about perfection, planning, theorizing. That's motion. Motion feels productive, but it doesn't produce results.
So we need to prioritize doing the thing, not just planning to do the thing.
Exactly. Focus on taking action. Make the action easy. This means reducing friction.
How do you reduce friction?
Think about addition by subtraction. What obstacles can you remove, like those Japanese electronics companies redesigning workspaces to eliminate wasted steps or movements? For habits, maybe it's prepping your workout clothes the night before, or packing a healthy lunch ahead of time. Anything that makes the starting point easier.
And this leads to the 2-minute rule.
Yes, this is a really powerful technique. The rule is, when you start a new habit, it should take less than 2 minutes to do.
Less than 2 minutes. That sounds almost too easy.
That's the point. You scale the habit down, read before bed each night, becomes read 1 page. Do 30 minutes of yoga becomes take out my yoga mat. Study for class becomes open my notes.
So the goal isn't mastery right away. It's just showing up.
Precisely. You master the habit of showing up. You make it so easy to start that you can't say no. He tells that story about the reader who lost 100 pounds.
By only letting himself stay at the gym for 5 minutes at first.
Exactly. He built the habit of going, made that easy. The duration increased naturally later. You need to standardize before you optimize.
Okay, make good habits easy. And for bad habits, make them difficult. This is where commitment devices come in.
Right. A commitment device is a choice you make in the present that locks in better behavior in the future, usually by making a bad habit harder or impossible.
Like Victor Hugo locking away his clothes so he had nothing to wear outside and had to stay in and write.
That's the classic example. More modern ones could be setting up automatic transfers to your savings account the day you get paid, making it harder to spend impulsively. Or using website blockers or outlet timers for the internet to make it harder to get distracted online. Or giving a friend money that they only give back if you stick to your habit.
So you're basically creating obstacles for your future self to prevent bad behavior.
You got it. Okay, final law.
Let's hear it.
Law 4. Make it satisfying. Or make it unsatisfying. This closes the loop, focusing on the reward.
Satisfying. This seems crucial. Clear says the cardinal rule is, what is immediately rewarded is repeated. What is immediately punished is avoided.
Exactly. Our brains evolved in an immediate return environment. We're wired to prioritize immediate rewards and avoid immediate punishments.
But the problem is, many good habits have delayed rewards, right? Exercise pays off later, saving money pays off later.
Well, the rewards for bad habits are often immediate. Eating junk food feels good now. Scrolling social media is instantly gratifying. The costs are delayed.
So instant gratification usually wins out over long-term benefit. How do we fix that?
We need to find ways to inject some immediate satisfaction into our good habits. Make the reward immediate, even if it's small. Remember the Stephen Luby story with the Safeguard soap in Karachi?
Yeah, the soap that was premium, smelled good, foamed nicely.
Right. It made the simple act of hand washing feel a little more enjoyable, a little more satisfying in the moment. And that immediate positive feeling reinforced the habit, leading to huge public health improvements.
Go find a way to make the process itself feel good immediately.
Or add an immediate reward right after, maybe a small healthy treat after a workout, or tracking your progress visually.
What about habits of avoidance, like trying not to spend money or not eat junk food? How do you make doing nothing feel satisfying?
That's tricky. He suggests making avoidance visible. For example, if you're trying to save money for a trip, every time you resist buying something you want but don't need, immediately transfer the amount you would have spent into a separate savings account labeled Europe Trip.
Ah, so you see the savings account growing. That makes the act of not spending immediately rewarding.
Exactly. You get that little dopamine hit from seeing the progress.
Which brings us to habit tracking. Why is simply tracking your habits checking off a box, using an app so effective.
Tracking leverages multiple laws. It makes the habit obvious, you see the streak. It makes it attractive, you don't want to break the chain. And crucially, it makes it satisfying. Checking it off feels good. He mentions Trent Dursmith, the stockbroker who moved a paperclip from one jar to another after each sales call. That simple visual track helped him build a multi-million-dollar business.
And the rule, never miss twice.
Crucial. Missing once is an accident. Missing twice is the start of a new unwanted habit. The key is to get back on track immediately after a lapse. Don't let one missed day derail you completely.
Okay, making good habits satisfying. For bad habits, we need to make them immediately unsatisfying. This is where accountability comes in.
Yes. Having an accountability partner or signing a habit contract works because it introduces an immediate cost to slipping up. We care about what others think of us. Knowing someone else is watching, or that you'll face an immediate penalty, like embarrassment or a financial cost, makes the bad habit less appealing right now.
Like Roger Fisher's idea for the nuclear launch codes, or that guy, Brian Harris, with the Auburn hat penalty if he missed his workout goals.
Exactly. The potential for immediate social or financial pain makes you avoid the bad behavior. It attaches an immediate punishment.
Wow. Okay, so stepping back. When you put all four laws together, make it obvious, attractive, easy, and satisfying.
You create a powerful system for building good habits. And by inverting the laws, make it invisible, unattractive, difficult, and unsatisfying, you have a system for breaking bad ones.
It's really a comprehensive toolkit. So Atomic Habits isn't just about thinking small. It's about building this whole integrated system around those small changes.
A system driven by the identity you want to build, consciously engineered using these four laws.
Designing your environment, your choices, your rewards, to make the good stuff almost automatic and the bad stuff really hard.
That's the core idea.
So maybe a final thought to leave people with. It feels like it goes beyond just improving one or two things.
I think Clear puts it beautifully. The holy grail of habit change is not a single 1% improvement, but 1,000 of them. It's about the accumulation. These small habits, they are the fundamental units of your overall system. And ultimately, as he says, you literally become your habits.
So the question for all of us is, what identity are you voting for with your actions today? What system are you building? One tiny habit at a time.